He woke with a gasp. Air, thick and hot, scorched his lungs. He choked, tasting ash and sulphur. His eyes opened, met with a landscape of fire and shadow. The ground beneath him pulsed, a living bed of obsidian, cracked with rivers of molten gold. Heat, intense and relentless, pressed upon him, a physical weight. The air itself seemed to writhe, filled with the whispers of 1,000 tormented souls. A groan escaped his lips, a tortured sound that was swallowed by the inferno around him. Where was he? What was this place? He tried to rise, his hands sinking into something gritty and hot. Ash! He was covered in it, his clothes, what was left of them, clinging to him like a shroud. Panic welled, a primal fear he couldn't suppress. His heart pounded against his ribs, a frantic drum in the symphony of the damned. What had become of him? He pushed himself up, his body unfamiliar, heavy. His hand, reaching for support, found a jagged rock. It crumbled under his grip, turned to dust. He stared at his hand, no longer the hand he knew. It was larger, stronger, covered in scales that shimmered like polished obsidian. He looked down at himself, his breath catching in his throat. Gone was the familiar flesh and blood. In its place was something else. His skin was now a shifting tapestry of molten gold and shadow, his limbs corded with muscle that rippled with power. Horns, sharp and cruel, protruded from his brow, framing eyes that burned with an inner fire. Terror, cold and sharp, pierced through the haze of confusion. He was a monster, a creature born of nightmares. His reflection stared back at him from the surface of a molten river, a twisted mockery of humanity. He recoiled from the sight, a strangled cry escaping his lips. But the sound, instead of fading into the inferno, echoed across the landscape. It resonated with a power he felt deep within his bones, a power that silenced the whispers of the damned, a power that belonged to him. As his voice died down, a new sound reached his ears. A chorus of scraping, slithering sounds. From the shadows cast by the towering flames, figures began to emerge, creatures of nightmare, twisted and grotesque, their eyes burning with a malevolent light. They approached cautiously, their gazes fixed upon him with a mixture of fear and awe. He could feel their power, their malice, but it paled in comparison to the inferno that raged within him. They circled him, a silent audience to his transformation. He rose to his full height, his shadow stretching long and dark across the burning ground. One of the creatures, larger than the others, its body a grotesque parody of a wolf, took a hesitant step forward. It whined, a low, rumbling sound, and lowered its head in submission. The others followed suit, their forms bowing before him in a silent, chilling display of fealty. He didn't understand their language, their gestures, yet he understood their intent. They were his. This realm of fire and shadow, these creatures of nightmare, they all belonged to him. A sense of rightness settled within him, a terrifying acceptance of his new reality. He raised his hand, watching as the flames danced around his fingers, responding to his will. Power, raw and untamed, surged through his veins, intoxicating in its intensity. He was no longer a man amongst men. He was something more, something other. The realization struck him with the force of a physical blow. He was the ruler of this place, the king of this fiery abyss. A crown of embers had been thrust upon his brow, and he, whether by choice or by fate, was bound to wear it. He looked out over his domain at the endless expanse of fire and shadow, at the creatures who cowered before him, their eyes reflecting his own fiery gaze. A sense of terrible purpose settled upon him, heavy as a shroud, yet exhilarating as the inferno itself. He was the lord of the underworld, and his reign had just begun.